I will have to make kiwi face masks now. Not that I know what a dead bat looks like. Oh, see a penny, pick it up. My husband came with these. They come with furniture and cushions and a copious amount of dresses. So hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we are in the garden. I think spring is here. It feels like spring is here, and I could be almost optimistic in saying maybe spring into summer, but we won't count our chickens. And I'm in the garden state getting it ready for spring. It hasn't really had much attention since September, and it's a bit of a mess. The kiwis, so this I think it's a pergola, people like to say, or veranda, was here, and it's very lovely. And as you can see, I've got my obligatory disco balls, and then these aren't actually disco balls. I put these up at Christmas, but I like them, so they're just going to stay up. And what happens is this sort of vine of, I don't know if you technically call it a vine because it's kiwis, but this is a kiwi plant, and I was super excited when we moved here to know that we had kiwis, but they're completely inedible. They're like bullets. They're really hard. And I did put it on Instagram, and loads of people sent me like kiwi recipes, and you can make kiwi face masks and all that sort of stuff. And I can't do anything with them other than they look nice, but then they do fall and kind of just look a bit like sort of dead bats, bizarrely. But not that I know what a dead bat looks like, but anyway, so this is the kiwi thing. And then I've got the mirror, and then I often put hydrangeas here, so we might do that again. We bought these plants, can't remember what they're called, but these are kind of all year roundy, and they're gonna go a bit more bushy, but I like to have a bit more colour. And then, as you can see, there was, I don't really want to show you that bit because it looks really messy, but there's some lavender there, and hopefully that will not look as dead as it goes on. But I have to say, we often start all over again. This is when I say I'm getting it ready, I really am getting it ready. There is no finesse to this right now at all. So it's a real starting point all over again. These we have, my husband came with these. These came with him. Tilly keeps them throwing the ball, which is really annoying. Tilly, come here. No, you don't want to give us the ball. But they're really good for parties, for bringing drinks in. That's why they're out here. So we fill them with ice and water. Thank you, Gracie. And that's where we put the drinks in, but they've just been shoved upside down there for the winter. So I'm going to tidy off the kiwis a bit. They're all going on the floor at the moment, and then we'll sweep them up later. But I'm not going to do the dining cushions today, just because I don't know what date it is, but it's going to rain most likely. So I'm just going to do the sofa cushions, but I just want to tidy it up as I like it to look nice and welcoming. And actually, it is actually sort of warm enough to have a cup of tea out here. So I'm gonna have to wipe that. But yeah, they're just, oh, they've actually got a bit softer. This is the first time. They've not been like a rock. Okay. It's ripe. If anything, it's overripe. So maybe it's taken 3 years for us to get a crop of kiwis. I will have to make kiwi face masks now. Kiwis in Sussex. Who knew? Right, well, kiwi preserve, kiwi lime pie. Anyway, that's something we discovered today. So that's exciting. I'll have to go back for all your messages on Instagram with all your kiwi recipes, which I was sent about 2 years ago. They're finally ripe. How exciting. Frankie's kiwi potions to come up. Anyway, I digress. We're going to put the cushions out on the sofa. The sofa, lots of people ask me about the sofa because it's such a great size. Look, they really had better days. This is when you kind of go, oh, I've got to do everything again. But that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? So I'm going to just turn that one upside down so we don't see the hole. Oh, see a penny, pick it up. Oh, that's a very rusty penny. Anyway, I do sometimes try and get someone to help me with this, because as you can see, it takes a bit of time. I appreciate that that's upside down, but that's the cleaner side I've got 3 zones. This one I want to improve upon. This has seen better days. I got it in the sale and it's all slightly falling apart and the cushions don't really fit, but it's a nice little spot. This gets completely covered in the green foliage of the kiwi. That's a fig tree. And I mean, we could do kiwi and fig pie. That's a fig tree and that becomes climbing everywhere. And that's partly fig, but I think there's also a bit of clematis there, which is very nice because it's got a nice smell. There is a line in a play called Voyage Around My Father where they describe this single mother as having all her own furniture. And I sort of feel like that was me. I come with furniture and cushions and a copious amount of dresses. Oh, I see that one's really, there we go. It's a bit of chewing gum, that's nice. It's when I say to the boys, when the grey clouds come over, and I say, could someone bring the cushions in? And they look at me with utter disdain. But look, it's not looking too bad considering that they're pretty grubby. But it's amazing how we can spruce them up. And what I always do is I do kind of refresh them each summer with, I use the main cushions and then use inexpensive, last year I got them all from Dunelm, just kind of ones to kind of give it a little bit of an uplift. So today we're not doing that, I'm just putting out the ones that I've got from last year. Sometimes I forget what actually goes where, but that does have a... Yes, hello. Shush. The grasses, they will come back into life, she says, in summer. But these pots we got in Provence, in a market, and we had driven to Provence, so we could put them in the car on the way back, and all the suitcases went in the pots, and they have travelled with us, but don't really think they were meant to go outside. So the yellow is kind of falling off, and also when Dave cuts the grass on the ride-on, he drives into them quite often. So maybe the combination of English weather and someone driving into them has caused them to chip a bit. So this was my solution to the gap in the cushions. Happened to find these yellow stripy cushions which completely fitted the gap. And so I alternate them. They've now faded as well. I need to get some new stripy fabric. Rather than buy cushions, you can often just buy the fabric, and if you know someone who's a bit handy with sewing machine, get them to do a few cushions. So that fills in that gap. But you don't need to change the pads. You can just change the covers. If you've got good pads and they've been bought in and haven't rotted in the rain, does need a good sweep. But I'm going to get one of the boys to do that. I do the pretty bits sometimes, and then Dave does the gardening bits. I quite like this bit here. And then I'm not going to empty that out. See, look, that's got really rusty. That's the fire pit. That's going to be a few people, that will weigh a ton, but that then goes there, and that's really nice because we do marshmallows and things like that, and it actually does give off a lot of heat, but then you end up smelling like a barbecue in your clothes, so it does linger. I'm always looking at sort of garden-proof fabrics and stuff, because they outdoor fabrics, because some of them do really fade. A lot of the time. This one's lovely. This is Birdie Fortescue. That's a nice proper outdoor fabric. So that hasn't faded. Skipping rope, not mine. I can't skip. I used to do gymnastics, but you know the awards, bagger awards, but I couldn't get past a certain level because I can't skip. So that was humiliating. But there we go. And then I'm going to put that one there. They are a bit faded, but we all fade a bit. There we go. This looks quite pretty already. Faded glamour. I'm going to put some flowers on the table just to cheer it up. And also what I've got, which I was excited about, which I used in my Easter tablescape, were these, which I did put them on the table, obviously for indoors, but they're actually, I think, really for outdoors. I've just got distracted again, but look how lovely the light reflecting is on the disco balls. That's why I love them so much. A, because I like dancing, but B, I just like the way they reflect the light. And so in the summer, it's really good. And also, which is why we have so many kiwis, it stops the birds from eating the fruit. So if you do have fruit trees, like fig trees or cherry trees or kiwi trees in Sussex, then the birds don't like the sparkly thing, so then they won't eat the fruit. And then you get loads of kiwis. But as I was saying, these, just things like this makes a big difference. So if you have a little space outside, if it's just like room for a little chair or something, just putting a few little outdoorsy things makes that into another room. And therefore your summer home feels a bit bigger than your winter home. It's a shame you can't have it all year, but this becomes like a whole other reception room for us in the spring and summer. And we have people over, and we have the barbecue, what's it called? The green egg, big egg. And then everyone's here. And actually it's really nice because then you don't really tidy up as much. No one's making a mess. No one's on screens because there's stuff to, like, they just want to sit outside and enjoy the weather. And it's really sociable. And actually, if we could have this space in Christmas, it'd be great. But in the summer, it's really nice. And my youngest son, we've had a few parties where we've had like those assault course bouncy castles. So all the parents stand here and have tea and wine or whatever they want. And then the kids just throw themselves up and down this inflatable. And then they all come and sit here and have a sausage and whatever, pizza or whatever it is they're having. And it's like no stress. And it's really lovely. I love doing kids' parties. I think I figured out, I'm trying to figure out, if you think, I did work it out the other day. I think I've done something like 4 children, and one of them's 20. So then you work backwards, and it was like, it was when I was at the Traitors and I missed one of my son's birthday, and I said, oh my God, this is the first birthday out of 50 something that I've missed. It was really sad, but I think he's forgiven me. And then I'm just going to do some flowers. I thought I'd use this vase, which I got from the Habitat Press show. What I'll do is I'll bring it out. And I've got some daffs as well. And rejig it because, and I just thought I'd use this one just because it's got yellow in it and it goes with the yellow in the cushions. Because it's much, oh look, there's a disco ball that's fallen down. I get the disco balls from Amazon when people ask me. You can buy them in batches. I'm trying to find a little, there's one. And I like to get them slightly alternating sizes because then I think they look prettier rather than all being the same size. There's some water in there already. I love daffs, and I think they're basically one of the cheapest flowers. If you don't have them in your garden, I guess you're not allowed to pick them in the park, I don't know. But they're one of the cheapest flowers that you can get because I think they're like, in those supermarkets and things, they're about £1 a bunch, and you get quite a few. I might add some of the tulips that haven't sort of had it on their last legs to it to make it a bit more springy. So I've made a start on the garden. Follow me on this one because as you can see, I don't know if your garden's the same, but it really has taken a battering over the winter that seemed to never end. And so I will be updating it with some hopefully new furniture, if not some new cushion covers, and some lovely planting, and maybe or maybe not my scallop shell wall, and loads of kiwi recipes, obviously. Don't forget to subscribe and join me next time.